After decades of aggressive Mycenaean foreign policy, the second part of the 13th century BCE was a period of both domestic instability and general decline of the Achaean power and influence. Sometime after 1240 BCE, another campaign would eventually result in a loss of the Anatolian coastal possessions, further increase internal problems, and finally see the Mycenaean Greece lose its status as one of the great powers of the Bronze Age. Following the death of Radu, the Mycenaean strategy in the Hittite-dominated western Anatolia more or less remained the same, relying on various local warlords to disrupt the Hittite influence in the region. In 1237 BCE, Tudhalia IV was crowned the new king of Hatti, and the Achaeans immediately started working towards sponsoring a new renegade that they could use to expand their interests. Few years later, that person was found in a man called Tarhuna Radu, a prince of the Seha land, willing to seize the opportunity and expand his own power with the Achaean help. Following the death of Seha's ruler Masturi, Tarhuna Radu, aided by the Achaeans from Miletus, managed to seize the throne of the Seha riverland and declare himself independent of the Hittite Empire. Tudhalia IV already had internal problems of his own, having to recognize Karunta as the autonomous king of Tarhuntassa. The Hittite king could afford no further instability and immediately declared war on the Seha rebel. A major Hittite force of 500 chariots and several thousands of infantry was led by the great king himself and marched towards the Seha riverland. Although Tarhuna Radu apparently had the Achaean support, the imperial Hittite force was overwhelming and any resistance was soon soundly defeated. Tarhuna Radu himself was captured on Eagle Peak together with his family and transported to the city of Arena, deep inside the Hittite territory. Tudhalia would then install another client ruler in Seha and in the following years would work towards pacifying the region, chiefly dealing with the neighboring client kingdom of Myra. This would be the last Achaean campaign to expand in Anatolia, as their decline only continued and soon even the city of Miletus, together with other coastal possessions, was apparently taken out of the Mycenaean hands. It is unknown if this was a result of Tudhalia's campaign, a revolt, or a seizure by the native Carians, but a correspondence of Tudhalia to the client king of Myra, Tarkasnawa, clearly alluded that the Achaeans no longer controlled territory in Anatolia. In this letter, the two rulers agreed on the borders of Miletus, which was to be independent of the ruler of Myra and possibly aligned to the Hittites through the local Carian leadership. Carians would continue to be in charge of the city all the way until the Ionian colonization a couple of centuries later, when it would be taken by a new wave of the Greek colonists. The Achaean decline was also apparent internationally, where the king of Achaea was no longer considered one of the equals to the king of Hatti. In a treaty between Tudhalia and the client Amorite king Shaushgamuva, Tudhalia mentioned a list of kings that were equal to him in rank, which at first included kings of Egypt, Babylonia, Assyria, and Achaea. However, the king of Achaea was later crossed from the list, clearly showing that the Achaean power, although still considerable, was not what it once was, at least from the Hittite perspective. By this time, the Mycenaean Greece was being ravaged by the internal conflicts, as well as the ever-dangerous tribes from the north. This instability was attributed to the devastating power struggle at Mycenae, with severe implications to the rest of the mainland Greece. According to the ancient traditions, ever since the death of the legendary hero Heraclius, King Eurystheus of Mycenae exiled Heraclius' successors, commonly known as the Heraclidae. The Heraclidae, led by Heraclius' son Hyllus and nephew Iolaus, enjoyed huge respect throughout Greece on the account of the great deeds accomplished by their father, something that Eurystheus, Heraclius' former rival, deeply resented and saw as damaging to his own royal authority. After years of indirectly trying to undermine Hyllus and his brothers, Eurystheus only saw their reputation grow at the expense of his own. The Heraclidae were granted refuge in Athens, where they, together with their followers, enjoyed hospitality of Demophon, a son of Theseus, apparently among the people in charge of the city at that time. As Eurystheus sent his envoys to Athens with demands that the sons of Heracles be delivered to Mycenae, the Athenians faced a tough choice, having to decide between betrayal and open defiance to the most powerful ruler in all of Greece. Ultimately, this request was turned down, and enraged Eurystheus soon declared war on the Athenians. As all of his 5 sons were generals in the Mycenaean army, Eurystheus decided to recruit them in a force that he would personally lead to Attica, while leaving the 2 sons of Pelops of Pisa behind in Mycenae to temporarily be in charge of the royal court. As Eurystheus arrived to Attica, he quickly set up a camp and began preparations for the swift takeover of Athens. As the whole campaign seemed to be rushed, it is unlikely that Eurystheus expected this to be a difficult task, since his force only appeared to include the available personnel from Mycenae and Tiryns, with no traditional contingents from Arcadia, Sparta, Pylos, and other closely aligned centers. The following battle came as a surprise to the Mycenaean king, as the Athenians sallied out together with the Heraclidae and engaged Eurystheus in an open battle. The king of Mycenae, together with his sons, were among the fallen, and the Mycenaean force soundly defeated. This event came as a shock to everyone and only accelerated the fragmentation of the Mycenaean Greece, as it became clear that Mycenae, the long-time hegemon of the Bronze Age Aegean, was not the power it once was. As Eurystheus' sons were killed in this conflict as well, the throne of Mycenae was left without clear successor. The 2 brothers left in charge of the royal court were Atreus and Thyestes, sons of Pelops, a ruler in Pisa and a close ally of the Mycenaean king. The 2 brothers would claim the throne for themselves and soon engage in a civil war with one another, but also with other claimants to the Mycenaean crown, chief among them the sons of Heracles. Please consider subscribing and sharing the video, as this is a one-person production and it greatly helps the visibility of the channel. Special thanks to History with Sai, Nico, Panayotis Yiannopoulos and Estate Care for their continuous support. If you wish to become a Patreon member, please click the link in the video description. This was WanaxTV, and we'll see you again soon.